Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name's Connor Williams, joined by Cal Brannan, and we are doing the February month review. First of all, Cal, will start with the news for this month. Guess we should start with Angus Kinner, the Leeds CEO. Has been announced that he'll get the Everton job, but he'll come at the end of the season. What are your thoughts on this? I don't really, it's not like a player or a manager. You can't really judge CEOs that well, can you, really?
Yeah, it's hard because especially as well, and I'm going to apologise for the scuffed setting. I'm not usually in my usual nice setting. I'm going to apologise for that right off the rip. But yeah, I think it's an interesting one because I see a lot of Leeds fans don't like him because of the time he represents at the club, but also like what does the CEO do in terms of transfers? In terms of, I can imagine they've got a part to play in hiring managers. So he probably did have a part to put hiring Jesse Marsh, and a lot of Leeds fans were saying he was linked to the big Austrian and German imports they had in that season, which just didn't work at all. Well, Austrian league and German league imports, a lot of links with the Red Bull group, if I remember quickly, which is ironic now considering that's Leeds' main sponsor, I believe. But it's one of those where I don't know. I think a lot of Everton fans are just not going to like him from the start because of the role he played in that points deduction. So I think the poor guy's starting off on one leg really. So it's one of those where we'll have to see. Again, I don't really know the full details of his job. Hopefully, Everton release some sort of statement when he's hired about what his role actually entails and what he's going to be responsible for.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I guess we can only judge him once he's here, sort of thing. Um, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. The other news with obviously the back room is Kevin Thelwell. It was announced that he will leave at the end of the season as well. No reports on his replacement yet. I'm sure that will come in next few weeks, I imagine. It'll be interesting to see who they go with, if they go with anyone at all. Some people are speculating it'll just be David Moyes at the transfer
It's
helm. Quite outdated way to do business, but Moyes' track record of finding players is good. I think for the future, though, we should probably get a director of football in for that reason of when Moyes passes his time at Everton goes. We need
I was
to.
going to say when you said
Yeah, no,
passes,
no,
I was
no.
like, I was like
I realised mid sentence, I was like, that makes it sound like he's going to die. I mean, as in, like, when he leaves the club to retire, probably retire unless he's sacked. Yeah, I realised mid sentence, I was like, oh my God. But yeah, just so there's some sort of continuality between the club and we're not just doing the old thing of letting a manager buy all their players, getting a new manager, him not wanting any of them players that we've been stuck in, 8 years ago. What are your thoughts on Thelwell, though, and his time in Everton?
um, I think. Do you know what I will say about Felwell, and I'm glad it has happened, is I feel like the public consensus on him has completely switched from being terrible at his job to now good at his job, and I feel like last summer really helped with that. Besides Broyer, I know we didn't do a ton of business, but what did we bring in? And Dye, O'Brien, am I
Mangala.
missing someone?
Mangala on loan.
Mangala on loan. The only one that hasn't gone well is Broyer, and it's terrible business from him. But also having it where we didn't pay his wages until October. We were, at the end of the day, it's good business from him. And Dye's a steal for 15 million. Um, O'Brien clearly the same. It honestly really wouldn't surprise me if the club are considering moving on from Tarkowski in the summer. And
Yeah.
it's mental for me to say that, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. Especially if Brampwaite signs that new contract,
Mm.
then it's one where I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest. And Mangala was really good before he left, got the injury, unfortunately. And yeah, even in January, Charlie Alcaraz, we didn't do much, but again, I'm guessing he played a large part in negotiating the Alcaraz deal. And already Alcaraz looks like another and die situation where we're going to pay 15 million from him, and it's an absolute steal. So he's had his
Yeah.
issues. I think he's one of those where he's much better at working on a budget. If you give him loads of money, he tends to get a bit excited and overspend. I think it's that. And a lot of the links were to what's his name, Paratici or whatever it is, Spurs,
Yeah.
Juventus guy. That he still probably is advising them at Roma, and obviously his football ban runs out at the end of this season or has ran out now. So it's one where they may bring him in, and then bringing in a CEO maybe to handle staff things like scouts and it sounds very football manager of me, but stuff like that. Because apparently Pertici's big strength is scouting and finding players. I do think the club should try and move heaven on earth to get David Weir. Because at the end of the day, if Moyes is going to work with any director of football, well, the guy who was his captain during the last tenure at a point, and it's one where he's clearly good at his job. I know he has the Brighton scouting system to his advantage, but also you also then have to scout the player that the system finds. It's one of those
Yeah.
where, and also just not every player on that system is going to be a hit. I know Brighton have a really good record, but at the end of the day, he's still a big part of what Brighton do. People from within Brighton calling him a transfer guru and stuff, and I can't imagine that's because they're trying to get rid of him for a bit of a compensation fee. So it's one where I would like us to get Weir in, just because I feel like it's weird, because I remember we always used to complain. I remember the first few years I was on this channel, the jobs for the boys stuff was always a big thing, and now ironically, a job for the boy might be one of the best choices we can make.
Yeah, it's funny how sort of things swing around as well. I forgot to mention Lindstrom as well, who I think it's getting game time and he's okay. I don't think he's one of those players I think will do all right, but I don't think we should be making that permanent
Not
at the
for
end of the
18 million.
season. No,
Not
no.
for 8.
But he
There's
was
so
still a
much
gap.
better quality. So much better quality you can get for 18 million. Him and Harrison should be. I said this on a news video. Unless we're paying like 5 million for Harrison, no. It's
Yeah,
like
they'll fill a
they're
gap this
both just.
season.
Lindstrom's one where a good end to the season could help him, because I feel like with a player like Lindstrom, once he gets one goal, it might be a thing where he finds his shooting boots. It's been like 2 years since he scored a goal, and I'll give him credit. A lot of the assists he should have aren't his fault. A lot of them aren't his fault. A lot of them are. I think the Calvert-Lewin sitter at Villa was Lindstrom. I think there's a few others that Lindstrom's put a ball on a plate for someone and they've missed it. But yeah, I do think he'll fit the system a lot more. I feel like we are a lot more of a run down the wing and cut it back team now instead of a crossing team. But it's one of those where for £18 million, you look at a few of the teams that are probably going to go down. They've probably got wingers that are better than thingy for probably 10, 11, 12 million pounds. So it's one of those where I can't see the value in it when there's going to be better quality available for the same price, especially if now you can get players of the caliber of Ndai and Alcaraz for 15 million.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think they'll fit the like gap that we need for this season because we're short, small squad. Then after that, I'd be really surprised. But I do think Lindstrom's more likely out of the two to try and, give Everton a headache. I think Jack Harrison has rode on the fact that Sean Dyche rated him for the last season. And then that is all the news, other than obviously we'll get into it, but it hasn't been announced. But I'm going to assume Beto is up for Player of the Month and David Moyes might be up for Manager of the Month.
I think Moyes might win Player of the Month, but Salah's winning.
I think, yeah, but they'll be up. There'll be two. They'll be nominated. So it's nice to have an
but I think
Everton
it's
manager and
been
player.
announced. I think it's Salah, Beto, and then two other players. But the top two were Salah, Beto.
Oh, nice. I take it David Moyes is in the managerial one as well. That's
I
nice
can
though.
imagine so.
If you told me a month ago we'd have a manager and a player up for Player and Manager of the Month, I'd have not believed you.
Yeah.
To be frank, but yeah. Apart from that, we can get into the games. The first one, 1st of February, 4-0 win over Leicester City. Goals coming from Decore. Was it something like it's not the fastest Premier League goal, but it's the fastest home.
It's the
Premier
fastest
League
goal, but it's
goal.
our fastest goal, and it was only I think it was only half a second off fastest goal as well. It was 10 point something. Shane Long's, I feel like he's like 9.6. It was literally one of those things where if Pickford kicks the ball and it travels a little bit quicker. We've got it.
That's absolutely insane. I take it that overtakes for us Louis Saha.
Yeah.
I think he
Oh,
might
it
have been
has
the
to.
quickest for us. Yeah. So that's incredible for Decore's in the history books now at Everton Football Club. And then in the 6th minute, Beto gets one. Then in the 45th, and then in die in the 90th. Very interesting times for the goals. 2 straight at the start, one just before half time, and then one just at the end of the game. Leicester weren't very good, were they?
No, we battered them.
Yeah, they were
4
really
might be a
poor.
compliment to them.
Yeah, like we had a lot better chances than them. I must admit, though, 4 goals from an XG of 2.46 is very clinical from us, but we had 3 big chances missed, so it could have been more.
And most of that
Um,
XG is probably Beto around in the keeper as well.
yeah, there's a lot from Ndai's shot takes up a lot of it as well. Um, it was a good game, really, really good. This was the start of, I think this was just the start of Beto's incredible run.
How many games did we play this month?
6.
5 league games then.
Yeah,
Yeah, it will be then because he has 5 in 5.
that's incredible. Um, that's absolutely incredible. We'll get on. We'll probably speak a little bit more about Beto right at the end because he'll come up quite a bit during this. But all round, great performance from us, wasn't it? Tarkowski, Pickford, and Garner all getting assists as well. Was this James Garner's first start since his injury, or?
Yeah, and it's the one way he played that just ridiculous through ball, which caught up in the
Yeah.
entire midfield and the defence.
Yeah, really, really great to see him come back because his injury with his back had been going on a while as well, and
Yeah,
obviously
he's been
losing
really good as
Mangala.
well. I think. I
Yeah,
I think honestly, and I think this is high praise. He's been better than Mangala was, and that's really high praise because I really rated Mangala, and I think Garner's come in and maybe not offered the defensive stability that Mangala did, but offers so much more going forward and has been probably one of the most vital players, probably in the top 3 of actually getting us forward. Even in the games and Dye's been gone, he's stepped up massively, and you're seeing him on the ball a lot more, and you're seeing success from it. He's willing to take those dangerous, risky passes, and they've worked out a few times for him. I think he really deserves some praise to come right back from an injury firing.
yeah. I think that he offers something that, no offense to Idrissa Gueye or Mangala, but they don't offer, which is like we've just spoke about. He did in this game is those through balls from the midfield to put the forwards in. Um, that doesn't stop Idrissa Gueye trying them, but Garner has a better technique, so they tend to work for him. Um, I'm glad to see him back as well. I do think he's a great player for us. Um, I don't think there was much else to talk about during this game. Obviously,
No, we just stomped them for 90 minutes basically.
yeah, it was a really, really good performance. A game, really, you sort of. I know we'd already. This put us like 10 points clear, so we're already 7 points clear of the drop before then. But still, you got to, teams around you, bottom teams. I dare say this because I did support the Sean Dyche, but with the Sean Dyche managing this, I'm not too sure if we thump them the way we
We'd
have.
still be we'd still be within 5 or 6. We'd have probably
Yeah,
beat Leicester, but we don't go to we don't play Liverpool and pull that off. We don't. All the games really. With the only game that probably stays the same result wise is the Bournemouth game. And
yeah,
and that's no issue to Sean Dyche, but he had his style, which was survival, and Moyes has clearly come in and gone, no, you lot are well better than that, and it's worked, and he's right. I think it's Sean Dyche he for us is going to be a transitional manager in if things go well for us and we manage to maybe push up the table with Moyes, maybe qualify for the Conference League once or twice while he's here, and then if Moyes stays for longer than his initial contract, obviously, um, then move on from Moyes. People are going to remember Dyche, and he'll get remembered in a positive light because it'll be if he wasn't here, the future never happens.
Yeah, I think it's just I just don't think we win 4-0 under him the way his technique
No,
was. I
it'd have
think we
been
get
one.
two and
It'd have been 2-1, and Leicester would have battered
yeah,
us for 70 minutes.
yeah, that have had high percentage. We then move on to the Bournemouth game in the cup, and before we get into it, Bournemouth have got an incredibly good record over us. 9 wins compared to our 7. 3 of those wins have come in this last season. Last year, March 2024, sort of thing onwards. The last 3 games we played them in, they beat us. Obviously, the one at the start of this season was that incredible bottle job by us, where we just threw the game away with like 5 minutes to go. It was spectacular. I've never seen a head loss like it. This game, though, I mean, Bournemouth they were just very, very good. We had our chances, but they were very good. That
They're
Jefferson,
one of the best teams in the league. Like that, I
yeah,
know I know a lot of people go, "Well, it's Bournemouth." You don't work for AFC Bournemouth and have your manager linked to Real Madrid for no reason. I'm pretty sure he's the second odds-on favourite behind Xabi Alonso. For when
yeah,
Ancelotti goes, like, come on, the bloke's turned Justin Cliver into actually fulfilling his potential, and stuff like that. Yeah, they're one of the best teams in the league, one of the best to watch, best performing. Genuinely, at this pace, I think they could get Champions League. So losing in the way we did, it's not nice because they pumped us. They
mm,
absolutely pumped us, and it never felt like we were going to get back into it. I think this fueled a lot of the Everton fans who just thrive off negativity because it was all look, not much has changed off dice ball. I think the level-headed fans were like, "No, this isn't Bournemouth from 2015-16 with Eddie Howe. No offense to Eddie Howe, good manager, but this is a completely new look Bournemouth team. A Bournemouth team that's got money. Let's not forget that as well. This is a Bournemouth. It's not like this is a Bournemouth team that are scraping by the penny to keep their players. This is a Bournemouth team that are competitive and are taking the best teams in the league to. I'm pretty sure they might have a win over Man City. I'm pretty sure they kept it close against Liverpool. This is it's unfortunate to admit because looking at teams like Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford. No offense to them overtaking us is quite embarrassing considering the structure and the history we already have compared to those clubs. But it shows what good leadership at the top of the club can do, and it shows something we strive for. Because now look at Bournemouth, where even if Iraola goes to Real Madrid, they probably won't get a manager as good. But I can tell you now, we're not going to have to worry about Bournemouth getting relegated for a long time.
yeah. Their recruitment's very. I was just looking, and there's at least 4 players in that squad that played us that would get into our team.
I think there's most of it probably gets in, to be honest.
Yeah, I think 4 for definite, which is that Kirkes. I think the centre back, Huyson, is it? I think he
Yeah,
gets
Huijsen
in.
probably gets in over Tarkovsky. Kirkes
Yeah.
gets in.
Semenyo
Probably
gets
both
in.
the defensive midfielders, to be honest.
They were. I wasn't too sure on them, but Semenyo and Tavernier, I think they get in over our wingers.
I think
Um,
Kluivert gets in as well.
yeah, I think those. And
I think,
Ndai, I think Ndai still stays in our squad.
yeah, but you can chuck
Um,
Kluivert on the right or the left. I'd much rather have Kluivert than Lindstrom or Harrison. I
yeah,
think
Semenyo gets in over
I think
Decore as
Christie
well.
gets into ours instead of Garner as well. To be honest, because he's got enough technical ability about him, but now, man, he wins the balls. It's like that video of that old man. He wins the ball so much, man. I think he's top in Europe's top 5 leagues for ball recoveries. Which, to be fair, I think I sent this into our chat thing, and Dye's fourth on that list. So, but yeah, Bournemouth they're so well drilled, and they've got one of those managers where he just makes everyone better because of his style of play. And to be honest with you, I don't think we could have kept it close, but I'm not surprised they did us in. To be honest,
Yeah. It was a bad day at the office for a couple of players as well. I don't think Decore had a good game or Tarkowski. Um,
no,
it's
this
worth
was
men-
this was
God,
probably the highlight of Tarkovsky's really bad skid he had,
yeah,
where he was just it's changed a bit now. He's the Liverpool goals bumped him up a little bit, and I think his form's improved a little bit. But before he was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out as well. Idrissa Gana Gay, there was stats for him going about. He just reminded me though, about Christie, and he's rolling back the years. But I saw a tweet saying he was the closest thing we had to Kante after Kante, and I really struggled. So I don't really get into the reactionary, over like sensational stuff, but like it is really when he was at Villa and then joined us, people were saying it then. And for people to still say it
He
about
was,
it,
but in the Prem, he was the closest thing to Kante,
yeah, he's an
factually. Because if you
unreal
looked at
player.
all, I remember seeing a bloody, what's the graph called? It's one of those graphs where it has points around like a hexagon or something. And the closer it
No,
is to the actual thing is how close that. And they had basically Idrissa Gueye excelled in all the things Kante excelled at.
yeah,
He was a poor man's Kante, but listen, you take a poor man's Kante if it's offered to you.
he's just an incredible player. I think, but to be at the age he's at, and people are still saying it now, he's got the most tackles in February with 26.
He's got to be up there in general.
It's 103 combined tackles and duels won in 2025 across all of the big five leagues. He's just an incredible player
His
to roll
age
back
as
the
well.
years.
To
Yeah, for
still
his
have that
age.
energy in your mid-30s is, but I think it proves it, doesn't it? I think it proves why he went to PSG and he was getting consistent minutes at PSG, and why I'm pretty sure he might have started in that Champions League final.
Possibly.
But yeah, I don't know if he did. I'm not certain on that. So, but it's one of those where he's such a good player. His level is above us. His level is way above us, to be honest with you. And he's just old, so he doesn't get looked at. But yeah, to still have that energy at that age and still to be, I feel like he's gotten better technically. I feel like his time in France really helped him. Because the one thing I will say about him, his first go around with us is he still does it now a little bit, but the passes will mishit a lot more than they are now. I'll give him his credit. Is the shots still go out the stadium, but the passing has gotten so much better as well.
Yeah, that's my only critique with him. I saw it was in this game. I've just been looking at the XG map, and there was one from outside the box with a 0.2, and it was Idrissa Gueye. And I don't even have to. I can tell what that shot was. It was lent
Well,
back,
it's between
edge of the
two players
box.
now, that isn't it? For
Yeah,
skying shots from 30 yards out.
he'd make an incredible rugby player, Idrissa Gueye, as a kicker,
Oh,
because he just gets them high and far. But that's my only criticism. But I thought it was worth mentioning Idrissa Gueye while we're on about stats for defensive midfielders. Next, we have the derby, though. This like neutral fans and the weird little popular fan accounts on Twitter were saying that this is like pure Barclays for the neutrals. It
pure
was
Barclays, most
incredible
of them are
for
like
us.
14.
Yeah, but it was incredible for us to watch. It's very fitting. I can't remember now off the top of my head, but I did put it in the chat. Everton and Liverpool had the same amount of wins, which is quite embarrassing because it's our ground, but just for the sake of the story, same amount of wins at Goodison Park each in the derby, same amount of draws. The last ever one at Goodison Park ends in a draw, which, if you think about it, is quite poetic, although the Anfield record, you can tell it's nowhere near that close. But yeah, what an incredible game. Beto just on fire. And then when we folded to one of the smallest players on the pitch, if not the smallest, getting a header.
It's a
At
good
that
header, to
point,
be fair to him, but again,
it
it's
is a
just,
good
I think
header.
this was Tarkovsky again.
Yeah, it was a
Or
good
O'Brien, it
header.
was one of them two. Just jump. Literally, they could have jumped and chested the ball away.
I just don't believe players of his size should be winning headers when your two centre backs are
No,
6 foot
and
plus.
he showed the reason why. As I said, it was a fantastic header. It was
He's very clever.
it was really well placed. I know some people were saying Pickford should have got to it. First of all, is Pickford really going to expect the little Alexis McAllister to win the header?
I think that's what
No,
pulled a lot of them out. I think that's why
yeah.
he wasn't marked as well because of his. I think the players have gone. It's not going to go to him, but it did. I also thought. I know he got his goal and the assist. Overall, I thought for large parts of the game, especially that first half, we'd kept Salah relatively quiet because he's on probably going to win Player of the Month. He is on form at the minute. I thought he'd
I
cause us
mean,
more issues.
I hate saying it. I hate saying it because of the team he plays for, but I think he's the best footballer in the world right now, and I don't think there's really a debate for it. To be honest with you, I think
No,
he's number one, and there's not really a close second in my opinion right now.
but I think we kept him
Yeah, was his
quietish.
what was his goal? I don't particularly remember it.
Um, was it not? Hmm. No, it wasn't a. I'll have to double check now, as I can't really remember it. Which also
I
shows how quiet he's been. I'm
I
sure.
don't remember it being like very.
Was it a
You
free
know,
kick or a set piece?
I feel like it might have been somewhat from a set piece. I don't remember it being very Salah-esque, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know what you mean. Um, but it was incredible. He gets
I
a
I do think we should have won as well. I'm getting that out there. I think we should have won. I think we had the better
um,
chances in the game. I think the
oh, it was blocked. It was Branthwaite
yeah
blocked Nunez's shot and it landed straight to Salah.
yeah well that's what I mean. It was just unlucky really, and I think it's one of those
Anyone,
where
yeah, any
I
Liverpool
think we should
player,
have
I
won.
think,
I think we had the better
scored.
chances. I mean, their goals came from a header they should have never won if our players were waking up. And I know anyone can make these excuses, but it's 5'6", 5'7" McAllister when we have a wall of giants in our back line, and then Salah's is. I mean, it's good positioning from Salah. It's smart. It's how you get those numbers that he's got. You're in the right position all the time, and you're working for the goal. But I feel like we missed a few chances we shouldn't have missed, which is unfortunately probably the main negative of under Moyes.
We
We
had
love
the
missing sitters, and yeah, I think it was one where we really should have our heads held high. I think we another problem that this team has showed, and I think it's still happens under Moyes is they can lose the fight a little bit, even in big games like this. Did it against these, did it against Bournemouth in the early season. I think we could have held on a bit better, or when we had the chance, and I think we do it again later in the month. I think it's the big pro. It's a
yeah.
big.
I think it has to be said though for this game though, like we obviously their goals we've just gone through them. It's the smallest fella on the pitch winning a header and a rebound that goes straight to him. We got 0.95 xg compared to their 0.62.
Is
This
is this
this
the
is
die
the
injury game as well?
yeah, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, because he went
Um,
off crying, didn't
yeah, yeah, it is. So to do it
he?
without
If he stays
Ndai,
on, I'm 100% certain if he stays on, we win.
well, I mean, the XG suggests we had the better chances, and this is the. I think we're the only team to keep Liverpool under one XG because, and we it was again. Moyes has said this, and a lot of people. I've watched a couple of videos where people are analysing us. Moyes has unchanged small things. Decore was on the overlap and said it from Deitch. But this was a game where you could see that they have similar philosophies in terms of they kept it really compact and funneled to sort of stop Liverpool from trying to get space in between in the middle. And you could see it working really well. Liverpool, who were going to win the league, unfortunately, have stormed a lot of teams this season. This is the lowest their XG was kept. And that just shows how well we've performed. Obviously, Tarkowski's goal at the end is fantastic. I know their fans are moaning
It's all they do, though.
about it. But their keeper took his sweet time for every goal kick. If you're going to waste time, that's what happens. And then Decore just deciding to just cause a mad one.
I'm saying
Um,
though, best thing the Corey has done this season because I'm pretty sure it meant Alcaraz started the next game.
yeah, yeah, and Alcaraz as well trying to fight the police. It was just absolutely mental scenes to end the derby on. Obviously, Decore that'll put him down now as in a cult hero status for fans.
I think he'll get that anyway. I just think the only turn he gets because he's been shy this season. But I
Yeah,
mean,
but
bloody
this
hell, you
was
look at how
just
many. You've got to give him credit. The Decore is involved in some moments for him now. He's
yeah,
got,
yeah, yeah,
obviously the main one I think of being the Bournemouth goal.
Yeah, to keep us up. Yeah. And it's a great volley as well. Like that's what I mean. But this was just if there's one way you could win over any Everton or like sort of build it back up from you being a bit poor this month, it's doing that. And then afterwards, as well as he's going down the tunnel, laughing as Arnie Slot's getting his red card.
It's so funny. He turns around when he realises and jumps.
Yeah.
It's so... I
It's just,
do get why they're fuming though, because do you know what? If that happened, if the roles were reversed and bloody Canate smashes in a volley at the last second to draw it at
yeah, and then
Goodison at the
someone like
last game of the
Curtis
season,
Jones, vice versa, goes up to the Everton fans and starts giving it them.
they're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, we're still going to play them at Anfield, and they'll be well up for that by then.
Oh, if we beat them at Anfield, oh no.
I don't know if they're going to be so up for this now because of the after the game sort of stuff. But
What's their
it was
lead
a
at the
good
top?
result. I think they're now like
Quite.
7 points clear, aren't they?
Oh, so we can't
No,
cost them the league 2 years running.
no, they're way clear. Sorry, Newcastle, Arsenal are on 54. They're on 67.
Yeah, they're winning the league, and you
Yeah,
know
they're
what?
way clear.
I'll give the credit. It's well deserved. I hate saying it. They're probably the best football team in the world right now. I think some people may say Real Madrid. I think Liverpool absolutely bounced that Real Madrid defense for 3 or 4. I'll be honest. I think it's that Real Madrid defense is horrendous. If I'm going to be honest with you, it's just because they've got the most stupid front three you'll ever see. But yeah, I think it's one where again this game it's you want to win, but if you could picture a perfect ending to a Goodison Park Merseyside derby, a last minute maybe not equaliser, but very much what feels like a callback to Jagielka's goal at Anfield. Not as good, obviously. Don't get me wrong, but you know the centre back who no one ever expects to score lashes one in at the last second. Everything goes to shit. It is the best. If you had to like put Goodison Park into a 10 to 15 minute snippet from one game, that's it. From
Yeah,
the Tarkowski volley going in to the end of everyone kicking off is the perfect way to sum up us at Goodison Park, really.
yeah, it was insane. I mean, I will say that I think the pitch invasion was a bit premature. I don't know if I'm quite on board with that type of over leveling, but
I don't mind it because it's the last game against them at the stadium. It's a last minute volley. Usually I don't like it, but it's not like it was like what 10, 20 of it, maybe a bit more. It wasn't that many people.
no, I just yeah, I think
I'm
that's
not a fan of it
good.
either because it encourages more people to do the same, and then eventually we are going to get a group of idiots that are like. To be fair to the fans who were there, just celebrated with a player.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's not like they caused any trouble. Celebrated with a player and got off the pitch, to be fair to them, when they were
yeah.
told. But
I mean,
it's eventually some idiot's going to take it too far, and that is the problem.
well, there was the
Eventually, is you
Vieira
can't
stuff, wasn't
encourage
there?
it.
There was
You
the
can't
Vieira
encourage
stuff
it, and
last
I
time.
know it's starting to come a bit of the club's identity in stupid
Well,
pitch invasions.
I mean, I don't want to be celebration police, but like, I'm all right with it. If we'd won the game, I'd have been a bit more like, oh yeah, yeah, okay. In that circumstance, if we'd won the game in the last minute, I'd have been like, yeah. Or if we win a cup, I'm perfectly fine with them, wanting to do it then or stuff. But like drawing against your rivals who you've played God knows how many games, for the last God knows how many years at the stadium, I'm a bit like, I just wish it's not so much that they do it. I just wish they had like the fans that do it. I wish they had something more to celebrate. It's not so much condemning them.
Yeah,
I just think they
100%.
deserve more than to celebrate that. Like, imagine if we win a cup. Imagine the scenes then. Like,
Well,
the
that's it.
fans deserve
Look
that.
at the scenes that were from staying up against Palace, the scenes from a last-minute draw. If we win a
Yeah,
cup, I do. If we win a cup, I do feel bad for the stadium security because I don't think we'll cause them much problems. It's the one credit I'll give our fans is we seem to do quite sensible pitch invasions. I think the worst things that some of them did was sit on the crossbar at Crystal Palace.
the Vieira one where the one fella kept Malvin off to Vieira and then Vieira kicked him, which I think's more on Vieira. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think you needed to
you're
kick
gonna
him.
do that though, aren't you? Because like,
Yeah, you're gonna
let's
give
be very
people.
realistic, man. If again with that, if the roles are reversed, someone's running up to who was our manager then? Was
It
that
was
Lampard?
Lampard. Yeah, I fully agree with.
Someone's running up
Like,
to Lampard and giving him.
it was more Vieira kicking him, which I was like, that's going to look awful now. But like,
No,
surely Vieira is an experienced player as well. You should be able to handle the fans giving you a little
no.
bit
I
of
feel
like,
like a majority of the fans are quite well behaved though, which is
yeah, they are.
surprising because of how many of them were on the pitch.
I just think they. I just think it's we're due a big moment so fans can absolutely. And then there's no,
Yeah,
you know,
I
there's no people laughing at us either. People can't go, oh, celebrating and won the league with a 2-2
I think.
draw,
Do you know what's
all
surprising
that
me?
rubbish.
A lot more people were understandable of this pitch invasion than they were the Palace one. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
we got the fan base got laughed at for a good week or so for the Palace one,
I
and
was
then
critical of the Palace one.
we didn't really care because it. I mean, some of the pictures are probably some of the best pictures you'll ever get at the stadium. They're
I think it's
so good.
more. I think it's more that with the Palace one. I think it's more like I wasn't like again not really at the fans, but like more a mentality thing. Like we shouldn't have celebrated staying up. We're far too big of a club to be celebrating staying up.
The way we did as well.
I feel like we're far too, like if you celebrate mediocrity, then it's set in. Like should have really give them what for and said never put us in this position again.
Well, yeah,
Sort
that's
of
it. But
thing.
I feel like I can understand it. Like
It's
to be
more of a
honest with you, it won't
mentality
surprise me if
thing, and I
people are
know.
on the pitch after the Southampton game.
I mean, it's like, and I know, like it's quite an old, and it seems like quite Roy Keane-esque, but yeah, like celebrating staying up when you're the size Everton are, it irks me. It really irks me. I think we should
Yeah, but
strive
like
for
you said,
more than
I think
that.
you summed it up perfectly. It's not on the fans; it's on the people who were in charge at the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fans did invade it, but it was more like I get them being swept up in the occasion. It was just more or everything. I just looked at him and was like, this was an awful time, and we shouldn't do it again. I mean, I know it was there again during Deitch, but that was because of the points deductions. If we didn't have them, we'd have been like
Yeah,
10th, something like that. So, like that season under Deitch with the points deductions, I let off because of the points deduction. And if it happened then, I'd be like, well, things were against us, fair play. I understand we've overcome, the league sort of thing. But the season
I think the
before,
Palace
where we
one
were just
was.
crap, I
Yeah,
couldn't
we
stomach
don't
that.
want to go on for it too long, but was the Palace season probably not our first real look at relegation?
Yeah.
It was the
But that's what I
first
mean.
time. It was the first time where relegation was very much a reality of
But it
the
was because
situation.
we were just crap. Like there was no points deductions. We were just god awful.
So I can kind of get it because it's such an unusual situation for the club as well. Because we'd always been, my entire life I can think of, besides these seasons, one example, and it's the year before Rooney goes, where we finish like 17th with him, and then fourth the next season without him, or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I just
But yeah,
yeah.
hopefully, new stadium means probably should mean less pitch invasions. I hope people from the south stand out trying to pitch invade, man. Well, it'll look like a people waterfall if they try it.
Well, yeah, I'm a bit worried about safety for that one. I mean, if the occasion's right, it was just I mean,
If
this
we
one
win the
I can
cup,
stomach
or
more.
bloody
Yeah.
honestly,
Like,
if we win a cup,
I think the
or
last game of this season, I think they're gonna do it.
that's what I said. I think they're gonna. Do you know what though?
But I
I
get
think
that.
that's
I get
okay
that. Yeah, I get
because
that.
didn't West Ham do the exact same thing at the
Yeah, I
bowling ground?
understand that completely. That is
Yeah, that's
because
different. It's your last game
yeah,
at a stadium.
that you've been at
It's
since
it's
well,
probably not
hundreds
going
of
to be
years.
celebrating anything unless we can keep going on this stupid run and somehow get Conference League. But
If we beat
I don't
Southampton,
think it's really going to be a pitch invasion, in it? It's just going to be people unscrewing their seats and stuff, and then
yeah,
the
yeah.
poor
Do you
women's
know
team are going to
what?
move in next season and be like, "Where have half the seats gone?"
But I completely understand that because that is a monumental occasion. I don't think any of us will see again in our lifetime. I don't think we'll see us leaving a stadium again in our
Well, we were
lifetimes.
at Goodison for what? 100 years?
Yeah, over 100, I think. So, you know, I get that because it's a once in a lifetime thing. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't want to also endorse it because but I've seen people on the internet say they're going to do it, and I'm not going to judge if they do because I can understand the momentous occasion that is. Next, though, we have Crystal Palace versus Everton, 2-1. We've got such a great record over. I've just mentioned Bournemouth and the poor
Like the
record we
opposite
have
of
there.
Bournemouth, innit?
Yeah, we have such a great record against Palace. We've drew 11, they've won 4, and we've won 11. And a lot of them have come in the last couple of years. We have got such a nice. The last time they beat us was 2022. In that season, the 2021-2022 season, they did the double
That
over us.
is the season, innit?
Yeah, they did the
Where
double
we come
over
from
us.
3-0 down in the last in the was it they won the last game of the season? I think
No,
it might have been.
no, that was the season after this one. They beat us twice.
Oh, did they? I thought this was the season.
No, it's the season after that we managed to sort ourselves out. But yeah, they beat us. Oh no, sorry, no, you are correct. There's an FA Cup run as well in the middle of this. We played them so many times. I feel like we played them at least 3 times a year the last couple of years. But
Yeah, we always get them in one of the cups.
yeah, they beat us 3-1, then beat us 4-0 in the cup. Then we beat them 3-2 to stay up.
Oh,
Um,
why did I think the game ended 3-all? It was 3-2. It was the one
it's
good Deli Ali cameo.
yeah, it's honestly it's insane that was ever dark days, dark halcyon days. But yeah, this was a great game, 2-1. Nice to see Alcaraz start. He got a goal, he got an assist.
I mean,
And,
you got given that assist. That
yeah,
throw in
yeah,
might be the worst throw in I've ever seen. And
man of the match.
I'll give Palace the credit. One thing they did really well was I think it was it Mitchell.
Yeah,
It
Mitchell.
was Mitchell who threw it, I think. Oh, it was the right. Yeah, it'll be Mitchell because it wasn't Munoz. It was Mitchell who threw it. It was the worst throwing ever. We get a free goal from it. Alcaraz's pass was really good as well. Waited right onto the foot of Barlow. And then, yeah, I'll give him the credit because they did really well to rally around him and make sure his confidence didn't drop because he was, I'm pretty sure, the one who got the assist for their goal.
Yeah. Um, which was Mateta, who's another player who just absolutely in form. I just saw somebody, they're both on Who Scored Team of the Month.
I'm
They're
pretty
the
sure
two
Mateta
strikers.
has.
Yeah,
What
they're the two.
Glasnow's probably been in what a year now, about a year,
Yeah, about a year.
and he's got like 28 goals under him in a year.
He is an incredibly on form player, Mateta, which is, I mean, must be nice for Palace fans because they had a run where they were just buying striker after striker and none of it was sticking.
The only one I can remember being okay was Benteke.
Yeah, and I'm not counting Zaha because he was a winger. But yeah, because they bought Edouard as well, didn't they?
They had Torsen for a bit off us.
Yeah, but Mateta, I saw someone say before, striking partnership of him and Beto would feed families. Um,
I'd imagine you're two poor centre backs, and then you see that.
in it, like they're both just incredibly good players. But again, Beto getting a goal. I thought we played well. I thought all the players played relatively well. Um, yeah, it was a good day. I thought even Lindstrom had a good game. I know he struggles in
I
some
think
games.
Lindstrom's had a few good games under Moyes. It's just, unfortunately, when you're a winger, the key statistic that matters are goals and assists.
Yeah, and I think he's struggling a little bit, but like there's some games I just think he goes a bit missing. But he was ever present in this one. It was a really hard earned win, and it's more points as well. This one, I think after this, I was already looking up, but after this, I think calmed anyone that was still a bit on. I saw a few people that still weren't in the look up camp yet.
Well, yeah, this
Um,
was the game that would have put us above Spurs and United, wouldn't it? Until
yeah,
Spurs then beat United and went back
yeah,
above us. But this was the game. And I know Spurs and United have been crap this season, but I think in any sense, if you're a relegation level team and you go above Spurs at the time and go above Spurs and United, it's just because they're two teams who no matter how bad they are, never going
They're
down.
not going to get relegated, are they?
So if you're above them, you go, okay, now. And I think that made us 13. Or are we 13 points now?
I think this might have made us. I'll check now what points we're on. But yeah, this was because I saw a few people. We're on 32 now. I saw a few people say that this was like, they were like, oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Then we won this, and people were like, yeah, like you said, saw United drop under us, and people were like, well, they're not going to get relegated. We could start looking
I
up.
think it's a thing as well where I don't get. My thing is, I know it's because of the history of the club, but I don't like the people who are like. Not that I don't like the people, but I don't like the idea that we can't look up when at this. How many games have we played since Palace? 2.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've at this point we're 5 games unbeaten in the league, which includes Liverpool. What games have we even spoke about?
We've
Liverpool, the Crystal Palace
Liverpool.
side that were on really good form at the time until we beat them. Because I remember doing the preview video, we both won 4 out of our last 5 games. And we're beating. We've again looking at the context of the one game we lost under Moyes, we got robbed. It's like, and I know quite a few Villa fans because of time at uni. They all agreed that we should have won that game, and it's a thing where. So let's look at it. The 2 games we've lost are to a team in the Champions League and a team currently competing for the Champions League.
Yeah,
and then that includes us probably outperforming the best football team in the world right now in that stretch, and I think the games since have only gone on to prove the point. Really, I think the latest results a bit disappointing in the long run of it. Man United was the last game, wasn't it?
No, Brentford the other night, but
well, even that, I think Brentford showed a lot of character for us. But yeah, I think both the results, our ability to not lose games at the end, if we can keep this up, it's only going to thing. And the thing is, I know I'm going into next month here, but or am I? Yeah, because it's March now. I forget there's only 28 days in February. 2 very winnable games coming up before a horrendous April. But yeah, I think there's no reason we can't get close to the top half if we're very lucky in the top half.
Yeah, I think, like you said, that those 2 next, Wolves and West Ham. I mean, surely David Moyes would love that West Ham win.
West Ham are very bad as well,
and we can leapfrog them as well as United, not Spurs. Yeah, no, Spurs. We can leapfrog 3 teams if results go our way. If we get 6 points, we could even leapfrog Palace and get up to 12th. I think we'll finish where we did last season, around that 11th to 13th spot if we're lucky.
Yeah, probably.
Which I would take. I will take that. That's a great foundation to build on. But we're 15 points clear of the drop zone. I can't see Ipswich or Leicester claiming that back.
How many games left? Like 10?
Something like that,
yeah. We're not dropping 15 points in 10 games.
And I can't see them picking up 15 points in the next 10 games either of those teams.
Knowing us, we'll probably lose we'll probably give Southampton a pity 3 points on last day of season, but
well, just to keep them from breaking, like, what's the dotted eight?
Yeah, we'll be like, don't worry, Southampton. You've got to beat some teams this year. Here's 2 wins over us.
Yeah,
we'll let them beat us at Goodison so we can sign that Solomana who we've kept chasing in the summer.
We'll do it just so they don't break the Premier League record for the lowest amount of points to go down.
That or we'll make them finish on 11 to tie it.
Yeah, they're on 9 now, so if they don't win another game till the end of the season, nailed on, they beat us at home.
They need to beat someone because then you know what's happening.
Yeah, nailed on that it's us that gives them the 3 points to get over the record. But yeah, like you said, there are some winnable games. We'll dive into the United game because this was tough. I mean, I'll say this: the Beto and Decore goals, right? Great. I personally take away the referee being poor, because the fact United didn't get a yellow card apart from that, the young lad Obi, and that was because he was disrupted Pickford from taking the goal kick quickly. I think they were lucky to get one yellow card. Maguire was very lucky to only to not get a yellow card, and you know the penalty at the end. But God, we threw this away. Two cheap free kicks.
You knew it. You knew it though, didn't you? You knew it as soon as the first Bruno free kick went in.
Which is that the one with the wall just abysmal? I don't know if I mean it is Pickford because he organises the wall, but is that the one
I
where
don't
they
even think it's
just
the wall. I think that first free kick from Bruno is just so good because
is that the
it
one
don't
where
matter where the
Pickford's
wall is because
completely here?
he just goes. You know what? That wall's massive. I'm just going the other side. And unfortunately for us, he places it right in the corner of the goal, which means Pickford has still got a because any goalkeeper's marking the side where the wall is. Because
Yeah,
if you don't, all Bruno has to do is lift it over and he's scored.
I
And
know
Bruno
that's
is one
what
of the best free kick takers in the league. It's just a stupidly good free kick. It is
and that
just
was clearly the thinking. It looks so daft when there was so much space on that other side
yeah.
for him.
You do look at it now with a bit of common sense and going, why are you fouling him at the edge of the box when they've got one of the best free kick takers in the league?
Yeah, and it's such a close rate. And then to give away another free kick, and then at this one, when it just bounces, and it's same with the Liverpool goal where it's a rebound. When the ball's just bouncing around, we're just not getting to it, and you're like, one of you's got to, and it bounced at Ugarte, who
Just
hits
whacked
it.
it.
Yeah, just whacks it. Takes a bit of a spin off his foot as well to take it just past the keeper, and then 2-2. And I was just there like they really don't. The best they played was just after the Fernandez goal. There was a space of whatever it was
10
between
minutes.
these goals. Yeah, like 10 minutes where they held possession. They were coming for us. Garnacho was trying stuff, and then I was like, oh, United are playing well here. Other than
It was
that,
as soon as they sacked off Casemiro, really.
yeah, he was awful. I can't believe he still
They
gets
dropped
starts for them.
they dropped Bruno into a deeper role and basically just went, Bruno, get us a point here, mate. And Bruno went, yeah, all right.
Yeah, it was so annoying to watch because I don't think we've had good results over United in the past, but like this was one of the
We
rare.
should have done. We should have taken a page out of old Man United's book. As soon as they drop Bruno deep and go on the ball, Idrissa Gueye should not have moved off him. Idrissa
Yeah,
Gueye should have been stuck to Bruno for the rest of the game. Because let's be brutally honest, the rest of the players are shite.
well,
Let's
I
like
mean, we've had
it's
good results over them, but this was the first time we played them where I thought, oh, like we're the better side
we're
through the
comfortably the
90.
better side.
Yeah, and
Comfortably the better.
these are
They
rubbish.
just have one player who is
Very, very
could
good.
easily be a linchpin in a league winning team. And he proved why he
Yeah,
can be. He's
despite
just
what
the fella's just that good. I know Pete. I don't like him either. I can't stand him. I think he whinges too much, and he's the equivalent of a toddler playing football, but he's a very good toddler playing football.
yeah, and then obviously we'll have to talk about the officiating because there was the Braithwaite handball that bounced off his shoulder. Do you know what? It took that long for them to decide something so glaringly
It
obvious
literally the thing is as well. It bounces off his face.
into his shoulder. Like, what is he meant to do? Even if it has touched the lower arm,
It's
like,
do you know what it is? And I hate saying this, and I said this at the time. It's very blatant. If you swap the fixtures around and we're playing Crystal Palace, and everything that happens in the United game translates over to Palace, we get the penalty at the end. That handball's never checked. It's because we're playing Man United, and I know a lot of Man United fans don't like that because it. Again, I get why you don't like it. That your team gets clear favouritism from the referees, but it is. It's not United fans' fault. You know, I wish referees did that for us. I'm not going to sit and pretend, but
it
it's one of
is
those things.
mad.
It's clear that whenever we get these dodgy decisions or bad refs, it's conveniently against a team in the Big Six.
And they were checking for ages. Was it Decore's goal, Beto's goal as well? They were like,
Yeah, and
any excuse.
it was clearly offside. It was clearly onside, and then they started whipping out these diagonal angles and stuff. And I'm like, are you meant to draw a line from that?
I love how
You can't draw a straight line if you're on a diagonal.
But I appreciate that they got the angles out for that, and then we'll talk about it now. But for the penalty, from the angle that they kept showing the ref,
Looked
it's a bit of a bad angle, and
well.
Ashley
They
Young,
looked at Maguire as well, didn't they? They didn't look at
yeah,
Delict.
I don't think they can see from that angle properly. But I'm like, and Young does make a bit of a theatrical, but they were like going on about his reputation, perceiving him like. I think he's done it one other time that was notoriously
He
bad.
he did it quite bad when he was still a winger. So
Yeah,
that's like 8 years, right? Like we're giving him stereotypes from a decade ago.
I was going to say I've not heard this narrative in years, and then the one time it's a clear penalty because he gets to the ball before anyone else if he's not held back, and they're saying about this narrative that he's a diver, and I'm like 35-year-old like well no what's he 39 now
40.
like 40-year-old Ashley Young, that stereotype of him being a diver and that narrative is well old now, and
I
then
think
they show the
genuinely,
other angle.
the last time that narrative was prominent was when David Moyes managed United.
Yeah, it was silly thing for the commentators to say, and then they were showing the angle, and everyone since that has gone. If they showed the other angle with the lit, you can clearly see he's being held by both men. Um,
And the thing
it's
is, right, I
stupid.
get he sells it, but Delict is trying to rip the shirt off his back. His shirt's like that.
Yeah,
You can see the pressure on a shirt that's meant to be like if you see a football shirt almost being ripped off someone's back, you know how much pressure is being put on it because those shirts are meant to be durable. Yeah, I know Castor are our sponsors, but that's not the point. It's a thing where it's a clear penalty, and if it's the other way around, United get a penalty. And
there's some of
again,
them as well.
it's not United fans' fault or anything, because I feel like that's how a lot of the 12-year-old United fans on Twitter took it, like a personal insult. No, it's not to do with you, but unfortunately, that's how the game is. Man City get the same thing, Liverpool get the same things, um, Chelsea get the same thing. It happens to them all.
Yeah,
It's
it was just. I mean, I was frustrated at the ref, but this like if you'd said I know people were getting excited, and some people did think we'd win. But I'd have took a point before the whistle. After it, I felt so. It felt like a
well, I think that's
loss,
what we all said, wasn't it? We all said after full time, it's a good result,
but
but
it
the
feels like a
context of the
loss.
result is really annoying.
Yeah, it feels like a lot. And I saw the jokes where it was like Everton are the only team to win a game at 2-2 and lose a game at 2-2. But like that is how both the fixtures did genuinely feel.
Well, yeah,
The
because
because of
one of the
the
games was against
context.
the best team in the league.
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
them is a team that spent £1 billion and is in a relegation fight.
Well, that's the problem with modern debates, isn't it? People seem to take the context out of it quite a bit.
No, but
But
most
like,
of the people who make that argument have got funny blue check marks that get them paid, and they've
yeah,
got our shirt sponsor on bottom of their tweet.
when I saw it, I was like, yeah, if you take out context, everything looks silly like that. But
Do you know what? This makes us sound so old.
what the youth of today just take the context out of everything.
We
Like,
sound so old.
I mean, it's not even the youth. It's some people older than us. I just think
I think
context
a
is lost
majority
on
of those big
people.
Twitter accounts are like mid-20s to 30s.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, they are. I don't take any notice of them because they know the game. The game's the game. They are
Game's
grinding
the game.
content.
Get your money. I'm not gonna blame you. I'd do the same
Yeah,
thing.
they're just saying stupid stuff they don't believe for the engagement. But yeah, it felt like a loss, and also regardless of the referee, if I'm being critical, yeah, we threw it away as well with two really cheap goals. So it was even tougher. Like we were robbed, but also we threw it away. That penalty should have been to make it 3-0, not 3-2.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. Like it's
it's
just
just
very silly to we don't want to go on about it forever, but very silly to give that those free kicks away. And again, should be. I think we still probably had a few chances in that game we could have took that we didn't, which I think is the story. Well, it's definitely the story of the game we're about to talk about now.
yeah, Brentford. Beto didn't get a goal this game. I saw he'd obviously, had a chance to. Saw people saying, back to the classic old Beto. I think that's a bit harsh.
The classic old
But,
Beto doesn't even get in those positions.
yeah, I think that's a bit harsh. But, again, a game. Brentford, though, were a tough unit.
They're a tough unit, and we battered them for a good part of the game.
Yeah, a lot of
I know they've
shots.
had a horrendous. I see what they mean. Their fans mean about they hate playing at home. I get it completely because they are. Whenever I see them play away, they seem to score like 4 goals every time. Then they
Yeah.
go home and wow, man. But yeah, I'm going to be brutal honest. Bettel should have had a brace at the minimum. There's very much an argument for he should have had a hat trick at the minimum, and that is a mental thing to say. But I think overall we're really good again. I think it's one of those where I think the defense was really bad this game.
Mhm.
And I know some people might not like that, but you're playing against a team that's well known for liking to drive at you and to dribble at you. And the amount of times Kevin Schade just in, out, and he were walking past us basically. And I'll give Tarkovsky was very, very good this game. Very, very good is the credit I'll
Yeah.
give him. He was in every ball he was in front of. He might have had like 6 or 7 blocks in the game. It was absolutely ridiculous.
This was
Um,
yeah, I think he did. I think he did have 6 or 7 blocks. Just
he might
looking,
have had 6 or 7 blocks in the first half, to be honest.
a lot of clearances as well. Yeah, this was. We have a great record against these as well. So I was a bit like interested to see how we do under Moyes with them. Mikolenko getting his first assist.
In his 100th game.
Yeah, that I think that sums up why people are so critical of Mikolenko and have been critical of him. I think, when people go, why is everyone sort of dump on Mikolenko? I think that stat going around
Because
showed
in
why.
the nicest way possible, he
We've
thinks
been
he's David Beckham.
we've been
You
spoiled
know,
by.
I
Well, I think we've been spoiled by having such great left backs in the last, couple
I
of, in our lifetime, Baines and then Digne. And then, imagine Baines or Digne going that long without an assist. You'd think there was something seriously wrong with them.
bloody hell, I think didn't you get like 12 by December one season?
Yeah, under Ancelotti,
Something
I'm sure he was just blasting the assist.
I think he had 12 by December and then got injured.
It's insane. So yeah, I mean, it's good that he's got one on the board, and obviously Mikolenko has got goals. But still, yeah, it's
Yeah, but
interesting,
it's just
isn't
a
it?
thing. He doesn't have more assists because it's his own fault. I just said the David Beckham thing. You don't need to cross the ball first time every time. Take a touch. The one time he takes a touch before crossing the ball, he gets an assist.
Yeah,
It's
it's
and the thing is as well. I wouldn't usually mention this, but it's because of how bad the 2 first time crosses were. I don't get it when he's in 10 yards of space on the wing and decides to whack it first time. I get the intention because if you do it right, Bettel's got a free goal. But you 1-on-1 and the man you 1-on-1 was 5-10 yards away from you. So you can probably move a couple of yards forward just so you can cross it better then. Like
him and
it's the thing with Baines, Baines did a few first time crosses, but also Baines would always make sure he was well positioned and the ball was where he wanted it. If
yeah, a
Baines
lot
hit
of
the
the
ball
time he
first time, it
puts it
was
off.
because he knew this ball was hittable first time. Same with Digne.
A lot of the time he'd if because he had the space back then, but like he'd touch it off and then take a step back and hit it as well.
It's so simple because his crossing has clearly improved, and a big part of it, I think it is, and it does sound mental, is that I genuinely think the fella's not used to being this good at crossing the ball.
It's weird though because like you said about hitting it first time, I almost wish him and Harrison would swap. So like I think Jack Harrison would be better if he hit it first time instead of doing the fake shot on even when he's on the left hand
The
side of
set,
the
the
pitch. He does
17
it.
fake shots, and then the
Yeah,
fake step over, and
but
then he
you're on
gets
your
tackled.
strongest foot. Like you're on your strongest foot. Just whip it in first time. I get it
Yeah, because
on the
the thing
right.
is, yeah, Harrison's technically good enough to cross it first time.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think
Mikolenko
he needs to
not
do it. But like
Mikolenko not so much. It's
when
like
those two are playing on the same wing, it infuriates me because one's taking touches they don't need and the other isn't. And you're like, just swap the method you're both using. I think it
yeah,
was this game I was watching. I was like, the pair of you just drive me up the wall. Like one of you is taking touches you don't need and fake shotting, and the other is just absolutely, whacking in silly crosses left, right, and center.
I've
Like
always said
take a touch.
I can easily see Mikolenko getting converted to a centre back in
I
a
mean,
back three. I just don't. I think he's played a lot better as a full back recently, but it's one of those where his overlaps are good, but then he'll get in these fantastic positions, and you're if Jack Harrison's on his side, you're like, oh well, Jack Harrison's just not going to pass him the ball, and then or otherwise he's gonna whip it first time, or he's gonna take too long. It's just there's no in between, and I think Brentford did really well at catching Mikalenko out of position. Damsgaard was playing a lot of those balls where he'd play it into the space, and the Brentford player were nowhere near it, but because either Mikalenko was so far back, or I remember the Aya one, it went out for a corner, but it's the big point out is Damsgaard just plays it into the space, nowhere near, and all of a sudden Aya's just flown past Mikalenko, and you're like, oh no, here we go. And I think that's one thing Moyes is going to look at. I think, like I said, we've got like still more than a week till our next game because of the cup. So I think there's a lot of things we can work on. It's still a good result at the end of the day. We're 7 games unbeaten now. I do think I'm not going to jinx it. Actually, I'm not going to say what I think, but there's a chance for that to be extended with some upcoming games, and I think it's one of those where the team should be really proud of themselves this month, because at the end of the day, they've lost one game this month, and that's a cup game that, to be honest, half the fan base doesn't really care about. Because I know everyone would say we'd love to win the cup. I'm so glad we're out of the cup now. With injury context, that happens in the future. I'm so glad we're out of the cup. Imagine we were still in the cup today with all those injuries. It'd be horrendous.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad we're not it as well. I think it's just
and as well, bro, you started light training, and so hopefully for next game, Chimiti was back on the bench. So hopefully when we're talking about the next game at the end of next month, hopefully, yeah, at the end of that, I think we're only talking about 2 games next month, but at the end of the March one, hopefully we're talking about having a majority of the team back. And realistically, if we're doing this well without McNeil and Dye, Broy and Calvert-Lewin to offer support off the bench, this is what I mean when I say we could finish top half. There's no reason, if McNeil and Dye, and also one thing, because I know we need to end this video, so I want to say this now. When McNeil comes back, please don't play him in the 10. Please don't do it, David. Play him on the left wing, please. I don't want to see him in the 10.
Be interesting. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what he does with Ndai then. Does he switch it to the right, or does he put him in the middle?
I don't think that. The only way I see Ndai playing on the right is if he decides to start Alcaraz as well. And then it's Ndai on the right, Alcaraz in the middle, McNeil on the left.
That'd be quite interesting to see what he does with Ndai. But there are only 2 games next month, so that podcast will be half an hour.
Well, knowing us, we'll somehow find a way.
Yeah, there'll be loads of. We'll have a new director of football and like 20 other staff members coming by then.
And Dice fly kicked someone in a game or something.
Yeah, but that is all. I think all it is for the games. I think no, it was a great month, wasn't it? It's compared to the December, November ones we were doing. Great month
to basically do this and go a full month without a league defeat. It's such a nice feeling to come and do these videos and not have to be so negative, and to be a majority positive. The only times we're being negative is when we're having to pick out. It's been so good for us that we're having to pick out specifics for the sake of not just sounding like the 2 most positive people on the planet.
Yeah, and I know other people from other fan bases won't get this, and I don't think they're going to watch an Everton podcast, but it's the best. I've never felt happier supporting Everton in the last 2 years than like right now. The feeling at the club is like, I haven't felt
maybe the only time that competes with this is us costing Liverpool the league at Goodison last season.
Yeah, but I'm talking like like a month of like.
We haven't had a month like this since Ancelotti, I don't think.
Maybe those 9 games under Deitch where we, racked up the points again.
But I think the only problem with that was the points deduction dragged us by down. Yeah, with this, it's been. There's been quite a few injuries, but then it's probably elevated it even higher because we've got loads of injuries, and then continued to keep getting points.
And you've got the nostalgia of David Moyes coming back, which I think there were a small amount that were a bit dubious about it, but completely quashed now. It's just a nice feeling around the club. His press conferences they have a lighter-hearted feeling towards them than the
well,
ones we've seen
it's nice
recently.
having a manager in who genuinely loves the club as well. Like, the thing is
Yeah,
about Dyche and Lampard, and
although it
I
was a
use
job
Lampard
for
because
them.
Lampard's probably the best speaker we've had in when it comes to getting fans on side of him. Is
But it was
both
a
of
job
those
for
would
them, wasn't it?
Yeah, both of those would always mention the love of the fans of the club, how much the fans love the club. Moyes, it's always, how much he loves the club and how
Yeah,
happy he is to be back. And that's infectious. It's infectious to the players. You see how happy the players are, and it's infectious to the fans. You see, I think you're even seeing the big Moyes detractors go, "Well, I've got nothing to slag him off for at this point," because at the end of the day, he's one of the best managers in the Premier League, no
mm.
doubt about it, in my opinion. And yeah, we're winning the FA Cup next year.
It is mad. It is mad. We'll have to leave on that though. But Cal, thank you for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I hope everyone enjoyed my nice, lovely, scuffed setup.
Don't forget, guys, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Comment your thoughts on the month down below. And you can also watch any of these back. There is a playlist on the channel as well. And check out the other content we've got coming up on the channel. And we'll see you soon.